Okay, in this in this video I summarize module 2 by doing this activity. What I'd like you to do is I'll provide the mod 2 packet tracer file so that you can watch this video and then follow through with what we're going to do. It's about trying to bring all the concepts together in one activity, and we configure or we build a small network, do basic configurations on the switch, on the router, and then try to verify connectivity. We assign IP addressing and we verify connectivity between the devices. Okay, so we'll begin off by configuring the switch. By the way, I've put in a console laptop here. So what you can do is you first of all add a console cable. You can normally in a real network in the real world, that's how we would be configuring. So I do not want to go direct to the switch and click on CLI, although you can do that, but it would be best if we try this. Okay, so I'll go desktop and let's begin our basic config for the switch. Okay, so first thing is let's change the host name, and I'll call this 2960 SW. Okay, let me exit first and then show you the basic config, the default switch configuration. You can see that okay, span entry mode is PVST plus. All interfaces will be all administratively down, including VLAN 1. No VTY passwords, no console passwords. Okay, so we'll configure all of this, including a message of the day banner or banner MOTD. Okay, so we'll just change the host name. Let's have a look at the show VLAN brief. You can see that all VLANs, all interfaces are by default part of VLAN 1, which is sometimes called the management VLAN, the native VLAN, default VLAN. Okay, that's VLAN 1. Okay, so let's configure conf t. Let's put a banner MOTD. I'll just do this. Unauthorized access is prohibited. I like to put this in so that any person accessing these devices over Telnet or SSH are able to see banner messages. Okay, leave a space and put the delimiting character, and that closes off the banner. Okay, next thing we'll do is let's configure LAN con 0 console passwords. We'll use password for console Cisco login. Let's try a different login. Let's type in login, or let's leave a question mark. I'd like to use these two keywords, allow for login synchronous as well as exec timeout. Okay, so let's do login synchronous. What's going to happen is oh, hold on. Okay, we set the exact timeout to 30 minutes. See, if I put a question mark, you specify minutes first. So if after 30 minutes you don't you leave the console idle, it should log out. Okay, so you can put it to 30 or maybe 10 minutes or 20 0 seconds, so just say 20 minutes. Enter. Okay, so we've specified password to be Cisco. Okay, login, exit, go LAN VTY 0 to 4, password I'll use Cisco again. This is for the Telnet sessions. Again, login, okay, exit, and I'll do exit again. I can either type write or I can do a copy running config, startup config for short, copy run start, or you can do a write or WR for short. It does the same thing. It saves the running config to the startup config. It saves it to the NVRAM. Okay, so that's for switch configuration. That's done. The next thing is we'll exit out of this. Let's close this and switch over the cable to the router, and let's move on to part 2, configuring the router. Okay, so I'll go back to terminal. Again, we type EN or enable to go into the privileged exec mode, and just do a verification of the current default running config. Hostname is the default router. Span entry mode, previous pass, all interfaces should be all in administratively down state. You can see the duplex speed, they're all auto. Okay. No password set. Okay. So let's go ahead and type conft hostname 2911 RTR. Okay. Disable domain lookup. You see, as soon as I type in domain LOO and I press the tab key, completes the command for me. It's another way of completing commands if you're tired of typing. So no IP domain lookup. Let me set enable secret. So I'll set the privileged exec mode password to class, and I'll go service password encryption, so it encrypts all the plain text passwords. Then MOTD again. Unauthorized access is prohibited. Device managed by ICT. Okay, complete that. And let me go to, is there anything else that I need to do? Oh yes, let me go into interface config mode. You can type the full word interface G00. Okay, this is the interface we're trying to configure. So interface G00, or we could just type int G00 IP address. This will act as our default gateway for this network. So IP address, subnet mask. Make sure to put no shut. You can of course put in a description, say link to 2960 SW. Okay, it's not required, it's an optional feature, description, but it's useful in identifying details about each link, if you put in one for every link you configure. Okay, so that interface should be up and running. Notice I haven't connected any cables yet. I'm just doing some basic configs. Have we done LAN? Okay. LAN con 0. Password will use Cisco. Login to enable that. LAN VTY 024. Password Cisco. Again, login to enable that. I think I've done much of what I should do here. Okay. So notice we are in LAN config mode. Okay, so I type in end. That should take me right back to privilege exec mode, and I can do a write or copy run start to save the running config. And that's it for the router and the switch at this stage. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just close this, and let's connect the G00 to I'll use F6. I'll use F6 from here, F7 to PCA, from here F8. Okay. Oh yes, one more thing. Yes, that's part 3. We're configuring the PCs with the IP addresses, and then we'll move on to part 4. We'll configure the SVI. The switch management interface is an interface that's is required if you're going to manage the device remotely. Now, do note that remember those 3 access methods. We have the Telnet, SSH, and we have console. Console, it's an out of band. You use it when you are configuring a device out of the box, or if you're in the same room as the device. For remote management, it's always a good idea to configure SSH and Telnet, so that you can remotely log into those devices to manage them, as long as they are plugged into the network in an operational network and basic network settings have been configured. So we'll assign IP addresses to these 2 PCs first, and then we can go ahead and configure SVI or management interface. So this one will be 192.168.1.12. Leave the default subnet mask. Default gateway should be 192.168.1.1. We don't need a DNS server at this moment. Go to PCB 192.168.1.11 and to 168.1.1. It's the default gateway, and it's done. Okay, let's configure the switch virtual interface or management interface on the switch. Again, I keep forgetting. Console, bring this back to the switch, and we bring it to the side, terminal. Okay, yes, as you can see here, it's console, so it's asking me for password, privilege exec mode. I don't think I've put in a privilege exec mode password. Okay, so I'll go conf t enable secret class service password encryption. I should enable that. Let me try this again. Console, yes, Cisco. It should ask me for a password, and that's what I want. Okay, so I'll go conf t. I'll just do a show VLAN brief. Notice it won't allow me because I'm in a wrong mode. You can always bypass that by using the do keyword, do show VLAN brief, and that takes me shows me the VLAN database. Again, I mentioned earlier that by default all interfaces belong to VLAN 1. Okay, so what I'm going to do is create a switch virtual interface. It's not a physical interface, it's a virtual one which we can manage the device from. Okay, so int VLAN 1. I'll use VLAN 1 as the management VLAN. In the real world, best practice is not to use VLAN 1 as a management VLAN, but for the sake of this lab, I'll just use VLAN 1, and I'll assign an IP address 2.168.1. and I'll use the one given here. We'll use 253. Oops, I forgot. 255.255.255.0. Just to turn it on, no shut. It's off at the moment, so now that the interface is up, we should test from anywhere on the network. We'll try PCA. We'll see if we can telnet into the switch. Okay, so that's it. We'll end this. Save configuration and exit. Okay, so finally we can just verify connectivity between PCA and B. So from PCA, I'll try to do a ping to 192.168.1.11, and there you go, reply is successful. So connection between PC A and B, okay. Let's see if I can ping 192.168.1.253. That's the management VLAN. Okay, response is successful. Let's try a telnet. Let's say we're trying to remote manage the switch. Okay, so we're not in the same room as the switch, but from anywhere. Let's telnet 192.168.1.253, and yes, we can access it. Okay, so I'll type in the console password, enable, should ask me for the privilege exec password, and I'm in the switch now. Okay, so I can configure the switch remotely from a PC on the network. Okay, let's try something here. Let's close this, go back to the console laptop. Let's instead of telnet, remember telnet is not secure. It's okay, you can still access the switch or a router from telnet via telnet, but communication is sent in plain text. Okay, whatever you send across is sent in plain text. Okay, so we need to enable SSH. Okay, so I'll go into the console of the switch, and let's leave a question mark. Okay, I want to see SSH here, show SSH. Okay, so currently no SSH server is running. Okay, so we go conf t. Let's create a domain lookup first, a domain name, sorry. We'll call it mynet.com. Let's set a username. We'll just use admin, password admin. Okay, just put in a question mark. We're interested in this crypto. The SSH is a secure method of connection, and it encrypts using the crypto keyword. So we'll type in crypto, reverse space question mark, key question mark. Let's generate RSA keys and leave a question mark, RSA, hit enter. Okay, so we'll use 1024 keys. Okay, that's the size of the key module we're going to use here, 1024. Okay, hit enter. It's created the keys. Okay, let's enable let's go int line vty024. Yes, it says SSH has been enabled. Line vty024. We go transport. So let's set the transport input to SSH. And set login to local, and we end this. Okay, right, let's test this, see if we've done the correct configurations. So we'll go back to PCA from the command prompt. Let's try a telnet. Let's exit first. So let's try a telnet again, 192.168.1.253. Okay, notice connection closed by foreign host. Okay, so let's do an SSH, SSH -l login, to admin, login, local login. That's an L, not a 1. This one here, that's L, not 1. So SSH login local, username is admin, IP address 192.168.1.253. Okay, it should ask me for a password. So password is admin, and we are into the switch. Okay, so enable class, and there. Okay, so what we've done here is we've disabled Telnet, and we've configured SSH instead, which is a much secure option. So you can do the same on the router to secure your connections, remote management ports to the devices. Instead of using Telnet, you can use SSH. Okay, so this activity is meant to bring all this together to summarize what we have, what you have covered in module 2. Again, you can verify connectivity from PC to the default gateway, the router 192.168.1.1, and it should work. All right. Okay, so that's it. I hope you will go through this video and do the activity to make sense of what you've been reading through or what you've been doing in module 2. Thank you.